Hello everyone and welcome back to Silicon Sounds, audio for the rest of us. Today it is my distinct pleasure to review the Hisenior Okavango. I want to title this review as Just Smooth. Hisenior, not known by as many as it should, is a company of very high quality in-ear monitors whose claim to fame is supplying in-ear monitors for professional musicians, prosumers as it were. Now they have branched out and are making a hard push into the typical consumer market and are doing quite well. I have reviewed the T4, the Mega 5P, and the T2U prior to this. This is a newer release, came out about the same time as the T4, the Okavango. So let's get right to it. The Hisenior Okavango is another recent release from the company whose claim to fame, once again, supplying professional musicians with in-ear monitors. Now moving into the quote-unquote regular consumer space, they're not as well a known entity as some of the other big players, but it is a shame because their products are definitely consistent with respect to great quality of manufacture and fantastic tuning. Retailing at $299 US, reduced from the regular price of $374, the Okavango really is placed in a very hot area when it comes to the market. That being said, it is an ambitious release from Hisenior, both from the technical front and with respect to sound. The driver complement is very interesting. It brings to the table 6 custom balanced armature drivers, as well as a single 9.5 millimeter dual magnetic biocellular diaphragm driver, a dynamic driver, 7 drivers per side, all under the control of a 4-way integrated passive crossover. The Okavango also sports tuning switches, thankfully just 2 of them, for a dual tuning switch setup where the sound can be tailored to the listener's liking. But the different sound settings are identical to what was seen in the Hisenior T4, that being Bass Plus, Soundstage Plus, Vocal Plus, and Balance, which are very sensibly implemented in my opinion. Fairly easy to drive, the Hisenior Okavango does benefit from a more capable source, and I was very happy being driven by the E1DA 9038S G3, probably one of my favorite and most used dongles over the last few years. Tip selection is still important here, and in the past, with respect to other Hisenior releases being the Mega 5P, the T2U, the T2, and the T4, tip selection was critical in that it really did alter the sound, not just the comfort and seal, but the sound of the earphone. A little less critical here, but I would still spend the time necessary to get a tip that will get you a good deep insertion with a proper seal and with the sonic results that you are after. For the sake of this review, even though the Okavango has the tuning switches as seen here, I will tell you that I left it mostly in balance. I found that in balance, which is both switches off, I was very pleased with the sound quality of the Okavango and found this the most pleasing with respect to my sonic, I should say, perception and preferences. Specs again, 6 drivers per side, 1 dynamic driver, 9.5 millimeter and 6 BAs, 4-way integrated crossover, frequency response 10 to 30 kilohertz, sensitivity is 112 decibels per milliwatt, and impedance is about 20 ohms, give or take 10%. So let's go on it right now. Build, fit, and quality. The Hisenior Okavango is a beautiful IEM, and the manufacturer does provide a good selection of custom faceplates as well as other customization options. In fact, one of the few manufacturers to make it so easy to get a completely CIEM or custom IEM made if you send in your ear impression. Now they're doing it digitally. It is on this large size of medium in terms of fit, was not an issue. Its shape afforded a very secure and comfortable fit, and at no time during even long listening sessions did I find the fit was an issue at all. Now, moving on to the fact that this unit was a loaner, but having owned other Hisenior gear, it did come with this Hisenior case, which basically fills the screen. It is a large carrying case. Flip it open and exposes the stock cable. There would be tips here and other things that you would need. Very nice case, a little bit on the large side to carry in one's pocket, but still much appreciated and definitely order of magnitude better quality than most manufacturers supply for their products, in particular in this price range and beyond. Let's get into the sound, because the quality is there. Beautiful shell, beautiful resin shell, finished flawlessly, nothing wrong with quality, build fit and quality on point. Let's get to the bass. The Okavango bass is characterized by smooth presentation, which still retains a good measure of detail. Bass goes very deep with a nicely balanced feel. Angel by Massive Attack has a driving bass line with a clearly audible texture to it. Some earphones just get this wrong or diminish the impact of that texture. The Okavango relayed these details very well, if not necessarily class leading. On the Robert Glasper Trio's incredible track, No Worries, the acoustic bass was easily isolated in the mix, having a nicely thick and rounded presentation, which the bass of the Okavango does have. Again, quite pleasing, yet not class leading with respect to absolute definition. Something the Okavango's stablemate, the T4, really does excel at, which is definition in the bass. No Limit by Marcus Miller again showcased the Okavango's bass as having a pleasant, thick roundness to it while still having decent detail. With respect to impact, the kick drum on Chocolate Chip Trip by Tool was impactful, tight, and clean. Overall, the Okavango offers a bass that, while not bass head in quality or quantity, which I'm thankful for actually, it has more than enough slam and impact to be convincing and serve as a solid foundation to any track of any genre. It is a balanced low end that many will find pleasing. And if you want more low end, you can just flip the switch and make it bass plus, which will give you even more of an oomph in the low end. I, of course, as I said before, did most of my, all of my review using the switches in the off position, which is balanced, which was my preference. Let's move on to the mid-range. The mid-range of the Hisenior Okavango is delivered with a smoothness that can be alluring. There's a good balance between macro and micro details, although macro details does win out here over micro. There's no harshness to speak of at all. Yet with the switch set to Vocal Plus or even Soundstage Plus, I did notice in the upper mid-range and treble there was a slight spiciness or crispiness to it that just veered away to the left of natural. Mid-range resolution is good, but this is not a set that I can call hyper resolute in terms of being able to extract everything that there is with respect to resolution though. Likewise for layering and separation, which while the Okavango really rarely sounded congested, yet was again bested by its stablemate, the T4U, for in this regard with these metrics of resolution and detail retrieval. Timbre was good, while not perfect, but it was pleasing enough and did not detract from the overall listening experience or impressions, which were quite good. The mid-range of the Okavango is not boring at all. In fact, it can be quite lively when the source material calls for it. There is a warmth here to the sound quality of the Okavango in the mids that adds an overall to the overall sonic character as well, which is pleasing and does lend itself towards long listening sessions as it's not overdone at all. Transients are handled well, not coming off as overly fast though nor slow, kind of middle of the road. Dynamic passages are also well done and presented. The mid-range of the Hisenior Okavango is like a comfortable blanket. It is unassuming and welcoming. Though while listening to the Okavango, I often felt that I was listening to music as opposed to being pulled into the music. it was still a pleasurable experience. While comparatively not the best with respect to any one metric, it does achieve a balance that suits long listening sessions well. Let's get to the treble. The treble is moderately extended, fairly well extended actually, and detailed with a reasonable amount of air and sparkle. With the switches set to balance, the treble does stand out on the Okavango and is arguably the best part of the sonic footprint. With the Vocal Plus or Soundstage Plus setting in the switches, once again, here they are, I found that there was a touch again of crispiness that just veered the sound signature a little bit to the left of organic, so I prefer to leave the switches off. The treble has a sweetness to it that is well done. On Vanston Place 12 a.m. by Ronnie Jordan, the treble elements were cleanly conveyed, sounding both distinct and musical at the same time. Nicely done. Imaging and soundstage. The Hisenior Okavango offers a modestly or moderately signed soundstage, being more intimate than expansive. No one dimension stands out here, and the soundstage is quite round in appearance, or at least in audio appearance. Stimula by Hugh Masekela, the live version, one of my go-to tracks for soundstage, highlighted the modest-sized soundstage with good instrument placement. Nothing out of the ordinary or anything I would say is distracting here, and the Okavango never sounded congested nor constrained. Versus. I don't have the T4 here, but I'm going to go against its own stablemates. Here we have the Hisenior Mega 5P and the Hisenior T2 Universal. Let's talk about the T4 that is not on the table. As I have it out, a good friend is giving it a listen, part of our Canuck Audioholics group. Stablemates for sure, but many in different ways to the T4. Again, the T4 is not on the table. The T4 sports a 4-balanced armature driver complement, proving once again that Hisenior really knows how to do magic with the less is more approach. Bass is thicker on the Okavango, but more detailed with greater speed on the T4U. The Okavango has the lead with bass prominence, but with respect to overall bass quality, the T4 wins out here. With the mid-range, the T4U leads definitely on detail retrieval, as well as layering and separation. Transients are also handled better on the T4U, being sharper, more distinct, yet still quite natural. With respect to the treble, things get much closer. The T4U still offers greater amount of detail retrieval, but the Okavango has a slightly sweeter tone. Choose your poison, really. Out of the two of them, if I had to leave just one between the Okavango and the T4U, I would select the T4, although the Okavango is very nice. Thank goodness I don't have to select one. Hisenior Mega 5P. I love the Mega 5P. I've loved it for a while. It has that ability to pull you into the music, but how does it compare to the Okavango? Well, again, Okavango in balance mode. The Mega 5P's bass is thick as well, but just seems to have a bass shelf that's slightly lower than the Okavango, more slightly towards the sub bass. With respect to mids, leading up to the treble, I would have to say that the Mega 5P is even more balanced than the Okavango. It's smooth all through. Detail retrieval, they're quite similar, going through the mids and the bass as well. Although, if anything, the Okavango might have slightly tighter bass than the Mega 5P. With respect to treble, the Okavango is obviously more extended than the Mega 5P, which struggles at the highest frequencies with respect to power and delivery, still being very sweet to listen to. The Okavango's treble, though, I think is an improvement over the Mega 5P in terms of extension and sparkle and air. Now, moving on to this. This is the T2U. Much less than half the price of the Okavango, but how does it compare? Both ends of this frequency spectrum are, if you listen to both of them directly, the Okavango wins out as being not as limited. The T2U, both in the deepest bass and the highest treble, the Okavango will win out in terms of extension. The Okavango is also a more lively sounding IAM than the T2U and the Mega 5P. It just has more life to it. Again, that doesn't mean that the Mega 5P and the T2U are lifeless. They're quite musical. What the T2U has compared to the Okavango is its musicality, which I think wins out slightly over the Okavango in terms of organics. That being said, in most other metrics, the Okavango best the T2U with respect to handling of dynamics. Transients, I would still give the T2U a little bit of an edge, but when it comes to bass transients, very deep down, you just sometimes feel that something may be missing. The Okavango, you miss none of that. And neither do you do on the Mega 5P with respect to bass. Clarity, detail, separation, very close between the two. The T2U, being just balanced armature drivers, has a slight edge on quickness over the Okavango. But again, the Okavango still sounds more lively, and if that's what you like, I would choose the Okavango. Now we're talking about an IM that's almost 2.5 to 3 times the price, but they are stablemates. Now with the Mega 5P, which is closer in price to the Okavango does sound more lively and also has better treble extension than the 5P. The dark horse in the room here is that the Okavango is the only one that has the tuning switches, and if that is your thing, then the Okavango is a definite choice, as you can tailor the sound more to what you like, even if it's genre specific. So all of these are keepers. Hisenior is doing really good work. One thing about them that I like in particular with the T4U and the Okavango is even playing around with the switches. It may not be to my liking in terms of the sonic presentation, but changing the switches really doesn't do anything detrimental to the sound in terms of the basic sound delivery, but it does change the character of the sound, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So let's get to a conclusion here. I would have to say that Hisenior has my attention as they consistently release quality gear. The Okavango is yet another product from this company that follows this trend. Having now listened to a number of their products, I can say with all confidence that I have not heard a bad one yet. I'm constantly impressed by the products that they have put out. Again, I've heard about 4 or 5 of their products, and I would say that all of them have impressed me in one way or another. Some of them have impressed me significantly, in fact, more than ever, compared to what some I use as benchmarks in their price range. The T2U in the $100 price range. The Mega 5P has been supplanted by the T4U, which I think is absolutely incredible, and the Okavango, which is also quite good. The Hisenior Okavango is a smooth operator favoring this type of sonic footprint rather than the hyper-detailed and over-technical sonics of some of its competitors. Not to mention the added flexibility of its available tuning modes, which are sensibly done. It is also well suited to long listening sessions with its fatigue-free sound. If this type of sound is what you're after, the Hisenior Okavango should be on your shortlist. Thank you very much for watching this review. Thank you for supporting Silicon Sounds. Please like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.